Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up and keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
The Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
Me. Now let's go talk about some of those tight ends out there.
Oh, can't say tight ends, you pervert.
Hey, I've been doing my squats, guys. Just saying.
It's about time someone has. I sure as hell haven't. The only thing I got down for is to pick up a beer. So some of you guys, if you're new here, Giant Goofballs, and there's 5 handsome gentlemen on here, and I'm going to say this: if you think that, then adjust your monitor real quick at that point. There, the settings off or something.
HD.
So we got the guys here. So we got the guys here from the Big Blue Unfiltered New York Giants podcast. Ian, Brian, and Greg. How you doing?
Great. We're happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome. And if you guys haven't caught them yet, they are brandy new starting out here in New York Giants podcast world. And they are episode 3 you guys just dropped, I think, today, right?
Yeah, yesterday, Sunday. So today's our first full day out there.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked them out yet, do feel free to check them out. And trust me, by the end of this, I have a feeling you're going to be subscribing to them along with us. That's for sure. So let's get into some Giants news here, guys. Giants G-Men time. So the first news we have here is there was an award show last night. Award show. They got all fancy in their tuxedos, dressing up like James Bond and all. Yeah. Brian Dable officially received his reward for NFC Coach of the Year at the 101 Awards last night. They announced he'd be winning back in January, but unlike most award show, they don't want a surprise. They tell you months in advance who's going to win. I think it's probably to increase how many people show up to these things, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't really know much about the 101 award show. It's not like the basic course in college or something. That's like the basic one you take freshman year. Like, what the hell? He could pass coaching 101. I guess he was a freshman.
He's at a 300 level.
Oh, yeah. He's got the advanced. He got the AP course going right now. Woo.
Oh, yeah.
So also PFF announced their top 101 players. Imagine me that 101 guy snuck right in. Top 101 players in the 2002 season. And the Giants had 3 players. When's the last time we've had multiple players on a top anything list?
10 years.
Besides, like,
I'm going to say maybe 2016.
Yeah, like I think the last time I remember a top anything list being 3 Giants on it was like top worst contracts in the NFL.
And all 3 were Kenny Golladay.
Nate Solder, number 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about Solder.
I'm sorry to bring back memories. Nothing but sweet memories.
Better go cry now, guys. Thanks.
You gotta drink some more.
So, yeah. You're not drinking quick enough. We're talking Nate Solder.
Kenny Golladay. Woof.
Oh.
I don't have a cup big enough.
That's a Das Boot moment right there, guys. If there ever is one, you got to turn around the heel there.
Turn the boot.
Turn the boot. All right, so we got Dexter Lawrence at number 15, Sexy Dexy. Andrew Thomas, number 16. We got back-to-back ones there. Ooh. And Saquon, possibly soon to be dearly departed Barkley, number 62. So that's pretty good. I'll take that, considering there's 32 teams in the league. We had 3 players in the top 62, 2 of them in the top 16. I'll take it. Especially, one thing to think about, these are all guys that we drafted, guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good point.
We signed these guys and like overpaid. Woo.
All Gettleman guys too.
Yeah. We don't say draft picks.
Yeah.
So we also have, speaking of dearly departed, we did lose another assistant O-line coach, Tony Sperano Jr. That's Sperano, not Soprano. No matter how much they autocorrect on my Google Doc here wants to change that. It's like, do you mean Soprano? I know I'm in Jersey, goddammit, but well, I'm not even in Jersey. I'm from Jersey, I should say, but geez, it's not always about the Sopranos here. Woke up this morning.
Where's the freaking pass blocking?
Here. Yeah. A funny story I'll share with you guys real quick on The Sopranos. Now I'm doing the thing that you got me doing the hand motion here. So I went to I went to AC years ago. Okay, like most guys, when you go to AC, you go with some friends, you get really, really drunk, you forget half the evening. Okay, so I'm in there and I'm walking through the casinos, and the guy who plays the character Big Pussy was there.
Oh,
right. Big Pussy.
Right. First off, that man is as big as his name suggests, except the latter part I think is probably overstated. I would not mess with that man. Now, Rob knows that you guys don't know. I'm 6'7", so I'm not exactly a small guy. Man was like my height, but probably had at least 100 pounds.
Wow.
I didn't know he was that big.
He's a big pussy.
That's for sure.
Yeah, nuts. Well, it's a fun fact that I was actually on the last episode of The Sopranos.
Were you?
I was. But if you saw,
were you the guy that shot Tony?
That you saw me. I was in the right when the AJ the son was getting picked up. I was picking up his daughter from school. I was like one of the people that was walking by his BMW.
Oh, look at that.
They were in college, but it was shot at Montclair High School.
You have an IMDb page?
All right.
I do not.
Where, you know how it is with Jersey people, we always have a connection to some kind of celebrity kind of thing at that point. It's like, it's like, you watch like the movie Big Fat Greek Wedding, and they can turn anything. Oh, you give me any celebrity, and I'm going to tell you how they're associated with me. It's going to somehow pop up. But it's just going to be the.
Yeah, pretty much.
Of course, just name the actor, and I feel bad saying that because so I'm telling everybody all through the casinos, I saw a big pussy. So I was just, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
Everyone thought
so anyway, Tony Soprano has Tony Soprano. Now I said, I don't think they did. So Tony, I don't call him Soprano too. Tony Sperano Jr. has joined the Colts as their new offensive line coach now. So we have officially lost a second. We have officially have a second assistant coach that has left us for the Colts. For some reason, the Colts seem to like our assistant coaches. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like our assistant coaches. I mean, the offensive line I thought was a pretty decent improvement from the past couple of years. But, yeah, we lose another coach to the Colts. That's for sure. We also got news on Wink. What was that? Sorry?
At least it wasn't Wink.
Yes, we still got Wink. That's the key. In Wink, we trust. So we also got an update on the former Giant, Blake Martinez, who
my hero.
Remember retired mid-season to sell Pokemon cards for a living. Pokemon cards.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's like, first off, how bad is it when you'd rather retire and sell Pokemon cards than play for Josh McDaniels? I'm just saying. Like,
I was about to say, how bad is the Raiders organization?
Yeah, but so his contract with the Raiders was $1.035 million. He's made over $5 million in the last 7 months selling Pokemon cards.
Jesus,
good for him.
What the
He must
hell?
have a lot of hologram cards.
So anyway, in other news, welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, the Pokemon selling podcast now, because we're moving over.
The Pokemon.
If anyone's got a Charmander or a Squirtle, please reach us at Two Giant Goofballs .mail.
He's over there, look at his bank account, twitching. Gotta sell them all. Oh my gosh! Woo. I didn't even know that got kind of money in Pokemon cards. Like he's cornered the market or something. God damn. So. We also have, of course, off-season quarterback news, because what's an off-season without quarterback news? Derek Carr said he's asking more than $35 million a year. That's
well, you heard that DJ was asking 45.
yeah.
As if Carr doesn't.
Well, that's where it gets me to, because this is important. That's what I'm saying. This is important for us, because if he makes the less money, then we go back to DJ's camp and hold on a second here.
Yep.
Derek Carr, who's been to Pro Bowls, has much better statistics than you do, is making $35 million. You're going to get 30. Yep. And it gives him that option to go in there like that, because I think that's more likely what we're going to see at that point. I think the first year you're going to see high 20s, but I think it'll be more like a low 30s average overall. Now, Ian Rappaport, though, said today that Jones will get less than the $45 million that he's rumored to be asking for, because I still call BS in that rumor. But he's saying more than 40. So, and I don't know where he's getting it from. I feel like some of these guys are just talking heads that want to give opinions on every big topic to stay relevant. And I usually like Ian, but I think that's what he's doing in this case, because I don't see the 40 million either still. I just don't see it.
I don't
yeah. And Drew and I have talked about nauseam about DJ's contract. And we both pretty much settled it's probably going to be in the mid-30 ballpark range. But if Derek Carr is getting $35 million, then like Drew said, it's an argument to be like, hey, man, listen, if you don't want to get tagged, you're going to pay 33, 34.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the right range for him. It's got to be 35 or maybe just north of 30, just under 40.
Down for year one. They'll get it down definitely for year one. That's for sure. I think that's pretty obvious. So,
because they want to make some space.
We also got, of course, the news that
100%.
Oh yeah, they have to.
Yeah.
Unless you want Jalen Smith out there roaming around as a linebacker again. Nobody wants that. Not even Jalen
Smith. Ian had some strong opinions on one of our episodes.
You and me both, man. You and me both. So we also got news today out of the this weekend out of the Twitterverse here. Byron Jones warning the draft class they can't jump or walk. And he also rants against trusting NFL medical team. And he says, no money is worth the issue. What is every can't go ahead and play if he can't run or jump? But then he promptly tells people, no, I do plan on still playing. I'm not retiring. So, yeah, dude, I don't know what's going on, but if you can't run and jump, you can't play football. Call me crazy. I mean, I'm not a professional athlete, but I think running and jumping are integral parts of the corner position. I think it might be.
Just a tad.
Maybe.
So, yeah.
Speaking of still cut corners.
Jalen Ramsey. Speaking of corners, Jalen Ramsey also said to be on the trading block. Keep hearing rumors about the Lions. All I know is we don't want him. We don't need him. But I got included because he's still considered a top flight corner. Though I think he didn't look as good last year, personally. So
I think they were asking him to do a lot.
Yeah,
I think that's
for sure.
Part of
they had
it.
A lot of injuries.
He's
too.
Actually,
I think so.
He's actually younger than you would think he is. It feels like he's been in the league forever, but he's actually still in his 20s. I was thinking he was 30 by now, but
he's pretty big. So
young.
You got to think his body is just starting to break down a little bit and just losing a step.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah, he played really physical too early on in his career with Jacksonville and the early part of the Rams. So he's probably beat up a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Who isn't though? It's football.
and like we said, it was the last podcast. As soon as you lose a step, you lose a lot in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
So we also got a little bit of draft news already here. One of the guys we're looking at as a potential first-round pick that I keep hearing people is Zay Flowers, who has apparently gained 13 pounds since the college football season has ended.
Wow.
And he's gone up to now to 183 pounds. That's one of the big knocks at him was he big enough to play in the NFL? And I saw pictures, and it's not fat, guys.
I was about to say, how much was that pasta? We're talking about Sopranos earlier.
He has not been he has not been hanging out Leonard Fournette at the Golden Corral. This man has point blank been beefing it up.
It's not like Eddie Lacy weight here.
Yeah, no, it's not Eddie Lacy weight. That's for listen. I
no Budweiser.
Anybody has Eddie Lacy. That's some weight.
He put on 40 pounds in the offseason.
Cheeseburger Eddie.
Yeah.
Some weight there. We also have some news here. So we got our first comment I'm going to go over with us too here from John S. Anderson Jr. going in with, it says live now, but then I had to wait over 2 minutes. Sorry, John. We got a chance to share this out to everybody. That's part of it there. But anybody who doesn't watch it live, the YouTube one, I can edit out the intro, and I always do for you guys. He says, if you guys got connections, keep Carson Wentz away from us. LOL. Or would you like him as a backup? And that's referring to the other news that Carson Wentz got cut today. Carson Wentz cut again.
God.
This is going to be what, team 4 in like the last 3 years now? It's like,
so.
oh my gosh.
Like
Yeah,
I
what
got
a
a fall
downfall.
from grace from a guy who was a potential MVP his second year. Woo.
The Eagles just
Guy with
never
all the
gave him
physical
the
tools
tools.
and none of the mental
They never
tools.
committed.
Yeah, the second year, you're right. Because like
he gave him a lot of money.
yeah, he had a good run, messed up his knee, and then Big Dick Nick comes in and wins the Super Bowl for that organization. The only Super Bowl they've won. So
Yeah. Good.
that was just the signing of his downfall.
Yeah. And we have to remind the Eagles fans that, yes, it's the only Super Bowl you guys have ever won. Again.
I had to throw in a subtle jab in there.
Yeah, let's
7
hammer that
years
home.
ago?
Have to
Yeah,
remind
you
him.
got to throw. That's it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it because I always say the different. You know what the difference between Giants and Eagles are? Eagles 1-3, Giants 4-1. It's not that the Eagles don't get to the Super Bowl; they just have trouble with that last step.
Exactly.
That's a key step, guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I want nothing to do with Carson Wentz. We
No.
already got a backup quarterback. I don't think the Giants even take a second look at him, and unless basically plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G all fall through. Basically, it has to be catastrophic for us to be signing Carson.
Yeah, a lot of
Wentz.
things need to fall.
Yeah.
We'll be going to Foot Locker first before we sign
Compete.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, basically.
Just go pick up AJ
just where we-
McCarron.
Yeah, there we go. He's looking pretty good at the
He's
XFL.
balling out.
He is.
As long as we don't get Paxton Lynch.
Oh,
So yeah, it's that bad. It's that bad for him. He got benched already in the XFL. So we got other Commanders news
But
here.
we
So
do
the
not
Commanders
want
are
Wentz as a
apparently
backup.
yes, no. The Commanders are also apparently banning Jeff Bezos from bidding on the team. So that's all, Dan Snyder acting like a petty child, basically.
Yep.
I mean, he's so stupid. He could have had the entire thing wrapped up in 48 hours with Amazon Prime. I mean, I don't know what the hell he's thinking here.
I saw a
So-
report today that the other owners might kick Snyder out because of that news. That they might come together.
Well,
I've
I
seen
mean,
a
that
lot of
talk's
things
been around
about
for a
that.
while.
I'm going to tell you this right now,
Yeah.
and this is just me talking with no inside knowledge whatsoever. I am almost positive that the entire ownership wants him gone and basically told him to sell the team or else we're going to find a way to get rid of you.
Yeah.
I really think that's how because he's been very adamant about not wanting to get rid of this team for how long. So with that happening, basically, they finally
Years.
said, nope, we're done. Get out.
I'm
or we're
also
gonna kick you out."
curious too because
So get less money if you kicked out.
I'm also very curious too. He talked about bringing up all the dirt for all the other NFL owners.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see him go out
Did he
in
find
the worst
anything?
way possible, just to get up all that dirty dirt.
Oh, yeah.
What does he have?
On
What's
him
he
to give it
hiding
all.
over there?
I don't know. We never know what he's doing over there.
Yeah. Dan Schneider, when you leave officially, we're more than happy to have you on the podcast here. Just email us at twogiantgoofballs@mail.com. Spill the dirt. Spill the dirt. You'd make us world famous in one episode. Come on, man. You can do it.
All the John Mara dirt.
Keep those skeletons in the closet. I'm fine with that. Everyone else. 30 other teams. But I mean, Amazon Prime Field doesn't sound bad.
No,
Right.
even if you just short time field.
Got a nice ring
So-
to it. Yeah.
So we also got one bit of news here on the draft before we get going with our talk here on the Giants here on as far as our tight ends. Adam Schefter reporting today that the Bears are leaning towards trading the first overall pick. Whoop-de-doo-dah freaking day. We've been talking about that since day one. I don't know why Schefter says it and all of a sudden it's breaking news. Like everybody has known this since day one, basically. He even went ahead and listed what teams might be interested. You think the ones without a quarterback? I can't believe this. Who would have thought this? Brilliant reporting. Break out the Pulitzer. Break out the Pulitzer. Oh my God. Seriously. Like I said, talking heads, guys. One thing I thought was interesting to look at the last couple of were top 5 quarterback in the draft here. Let's look at the list. RG3 in 2012, Jared Goff in 2016, the aforementioned Carson Wentz in 2016, Mitch Trubisky in 2017, Sam Darnold in 2018, and now Trey Lance in 2021 was the last one. I got to say, this is not a good track record.
Nope. It's great company.
Not the best.
That's
Goof is all right.
not what you're like. Yeah, I mean, if you want to say Wentz worked out because they still got a Super Bowl, they might not have gotten, without him, considering how he played in the regular season that year. But yeah, that's a really, really bad list of draft trades there. That's for sure.
I mean, the only one that I would somewhat defend there. Yeah, the only one I would somewhat defend there is RG3, because as much as I don't want to root for someone that's in our division, he did play very well up until that injury where he went back out on that playoff game.
Yeah, that
was just never looked the same.
Oh, listen.
Like, they dragged him back out. Yeah, 100%. Like, who knows what he could have been if he never went back into that playoff game.
Yeah.
Watching his
old highlights.
He was pretty electric for those 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll
he
say
was
this on
that
RG3,
good.
Though.
He was that good that they built a statue of him after 1 year of him being there outside of FedEx Field.
Listen, they built a statue for anybody to stop people from talking about emails and stupid things Snyder said, okay? They don't care.
Touche.
It's not about celebrating. It's about deflect. Okay? But I'll say after seeing the entirety of after seeing the entirety of what was RG3's career, I'm going to say this, though. I do think Shanahan ruined him. But I do think he would have ruined himself eventually as well, because even later on when he played for other teams, he was still not going out of bounds. He was still not taking the slides. This would have happened either way. It just happened to be that Shanahan sped up the process, so to speak. He was like, oh, I don't got time for this. Let's just
It's the same breakdown that Cam Newton had.
You're not wrong.
Cam also had a shoulder issue, too.
Yeah.
I mean, most mobile quarterbacks
that
are known for their legs.
Taylor had this year for us, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
It's the same song dance with all running quarterbacks. The mobile quarterbacks, I mean, the only one that's was successfully twice was Michael Vick. But it was like he had 2 rookie seasons because he went to jail after being heinous, came back, everyone forgot who he was, and he just did it all over again.
His play style that second time around, too, was way different than it was the first time.
You're right. I shouldn't take that away, but he still was a mobile quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
You got to send these guys to the Eli.
He also, though, keep in mind, he also played in a different time period, though. Keep in mind with Vic, because Vic played when there was these big old linebackers and stuff that wouldn't even be able to hack it in today's football, probably, to be honest with you. And that's not
you were actually able to get hit over the middle.
Yeah. It's speed now, you know? Yep. So, hey, Rob, your stalker's back. Frankie, I saw you smile. Did it show you I just joined? He said,
100%.
Yes, Rob, I'm talking to you.
You got a super fan, Rob?
Super fan.
Super fan. We got Mark Montalvo. What's up, guys? What's up, Mark?
How are you doing, Mark?
What's up?
Cheers, my friend.
So let's get into. Oh, shit, we got one more here actually before we get going. John S. Anderson again here too as well. It's incredible these guys give out statues and they get rid of their quarterbacks. We had Phil Simms who had 2 Super Bowls even though he didn't play in the one, but he took 1 for the team. And Eli won 2 Super Bowls and he doesn't have a statue either. You know what? I gotta wonder if part of that is just the issues with MetLife as a whole, because people forget it's not Giant Stadium anymore. It's now contractually shared with the Jets.
Yeah.
It's not a lease they had. And it's also, many people are unaware of this. This is the most profitable venue in the entire world. Not the U.S., not New York, the entire
not the NFL.
world.
That's crazy.
That's why this stadium was set up to basically be the vanilla ice cream of stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no personality. It was how
No
many
jazz,
seats can we
no
shove
flavor.
into this damn thing? Yeah,
It's
like
the
they just want to
giant
shove as many seats as possible.
They'd probably be worried someone would steal the statue. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put a John Mayer statue.
It isn't Juicy at that point.
I always had an issue with people blaming Mara for the turf. I mean, Woody Johnson's just as responsible.
Yeah. Well, also,
it's a good point. Yeah.
Again, they don't own this. They don't own the stadium. It's not his call.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So they also built part of that turf was just because the upkeep of grass year round in Jersey is that much more than turf. Pay the money, pay the turf. Don't pay for the landscaping.
Yeah.
You could put built up stadiums, put rock bands out there, put different venues, like not ruin the grass.
As Mark points out here, two teams. Reason why our fields turn to crap quicker than other fields. I mean, they can't get They're switching things out left and right. There's no weekends off here. So, all right, guys. So let's get into these tight ends because we're only 25 minutes into the actual episodes, 30 minutes here. We haven't even talked a single tight end yet. We haven't even talked a single tight end.
About me.
This is what happens. No, we said tight, not loose.
Oh, touche. It's a 25-minute fight. You guys haven't heard a thing.
So I think, obviously, when you look back on our tight ends this past year, it all starts and finishes pretty much with one man, who is the surprise, amazing rookie, Daniel Bellinger, who I just have so much respect for, not just because of what he did in the passing game, which I know everybody looks at the catches and stuff, and he was a nice little security blanket for DJ there during the season, but it was also how he was as a blocker. We knew he'd be a good blocker coming out of college, but you could see a difference in that run game when he didn't play or when he played. You knew if he was playing basically how Saquon was playing and how that run game was going. So since you guys are the guest here, why don't we go ahead and each give us a little thoughts to here. We'll start with Ian, then Brian, then Greg, just so that we're kind of...
All right, so I'll save the comp for Greg because he's the one out of the three of us that came up with this comp, and it's a good tight end. It's not an elite tight end, but I do think Bellinger has the ability to be that top 10 all-around tight end. I don't know if he'll ever put up Dallas Goedert offensive numbers or if he'll ever be, like a Kyle Rudolph in the block game. I mean, I think he'll be very good all around, but I don't think he'll be elite at anything. I'll absolutely take him as my tight end one for the next 10 years.
Yeah, and I agree. He does a lot of everything very good. It's nothing flashy. Like, he would get the catches, but a lot of them were like key first down catches. He was reliable with those first down catches, but it's nothing flashy. He's not going to wow you, but he just does everything solid. So I think he's more of like a top half tight end. I wouldn't say top 10, but I would say top half at least.
Yeah, to Brian's point, like I think he's been a great surprise, and like we were talking on the pod, and I think we were saying like Heath Miller-ish, former Steelers tight end, like just very good in the block game, can make those contested catches. I mean, I think his catch rate was like close to 90% or something this year. I think we saw. I know we don't like to throw the stats out there, but I think that's what we're going for. So
30 catches.
I mean, I just hope he can keep
targets.
his blocking up. Yeah. So I mean, you got to be happy with him. I mean, I think to Brian's point, he's going to be a very solid middle of the pack guy for the next 5 years plus at least.
So and picking back off of what you guys said, like 100%, like, so he is not your sharp steak knife. He is not what you're going to use to open up your bottle of wine. He's not what you're going to use to file down your nails. But know what he is? He's a Swiss Army knife. He does it all in one package, and you don't have to worry. And that alone is going to make him a top tier tight end. Is he going to put up the numbers like a Kelsey? No. Is he a Rudolph? No. But what he's going to do for you is exactly what we missed during that middle part of the season when Barkley was a little hurt and he had his eye poked out pretty much. What happened to our run game? It was not
poke
there.
Your eye out.
Yeah. but like, listen, like, so was that all on Barkley? Was it Bellinger that has to do with it? Or was it the fact that, one was kind of injured? Well, both were injured, but was it the two of them not being on the field 100%? What was it? Probably
more having no weapon over the middle, really. I mean,
well, that too.
But you can't. They can just play the outside of the field if there's no Bellinger to take a safety up the middle.
Yeah, you're 100% right too.
Now,
and like what he also did too, which a lot of people don't talk about, is he was the security blanket for Jones. But how was he the security blanket? Right? Jones likes to run. Barkley likes to run. Obviously, right? We throw down the middle. When none of that's working, who's right there? 3 yards up the line, 4 yards up the line. Bellinger catches the ball, gets a couple of yak yards, and he had a great year just doing that.
Yep.
And also, too, he's enough of a threat in the pass game where he's going to draw a little bit of attention, which opens up, way more in play
your
action.
run game. Your pass game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And I love the comparison you give me to Heath Miller. So, but here's another one
really
I think is kind of interesting. So, Bellinger reminds me of Boss, Mark says. I like him. He'll be more of a security blanket for Jones this coming year. And that's a pretty decent comp, I think, too, as well. Because Kevin Boss was exactly that. He was your above average, but not elite kind of tight end at that point, which is exactly what I think that Bellinger's going to be. And listen, if you can get me that every fourth round in every draft, I will be a very, very happy man. So this is an excellent pick by Shane.
I just looked at Kevin Boss's stats. I mean, the 2 best years he had, he's got 40 catches, 600 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's right around where Bellinger, I think, is going to settle, and he's going to be that kind of tight end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if your tight end's producing that,
catch the ball ever in college.
Yeah.
So this is his first year as a receiving tight end, basically. You got to think about that, and he also took it away, as Mark also points out here. Bellinger took catches away from Barkley, which it gave Barkley the chance to kind of help more in the pass, also be more of a decoy in some plays as well, and take that attention away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm excited to see what year 2 brings for him. I really am, especially because I don't care, what he says. Come back from that eye injury. There's no way the first couple weeks he was there, he was fully himself. And there wasn't also the fear of getting poked again, though. Thank God he got the clear visor to try to prevent that.
It even seems like they kind of eased him back in the game plan, too, because he was averaging between 3 to 5 targets a game before he got hurt. And then
that could have been really bad.
2 to 3 weeks for him to get back up to that target share.
You realize if he got hit in the face again with the bones he fractured, he literally could have been facially different the rest of his life. It was
Captain Insano shows no mercy.
How old are you, kid? So speaking of things that have things wrong with their medulla oblongata here, I think all of us pretty much have an anger issue when we talk about the rest of the tight ends, because we talked about this before the season, Rob and I, about what position scared us the most. And it was corner on defense. For offense, it was tight end. Keep in mind, we didn't have the receiver issues going into this year. We had Kenny Golladay at least being somewhat serviceable based on last year. We had, Shep coming back. We had, Tony, hopefully being better in year 2. There was optimism about the wide receivers. But the tight ends were like, okay, we got a rookie from the 4th round. So it's like, what do you expect out of a 4th round rookie, out of a position that, if you look at the history of tight ends, typically it takes a year or 2 for them to really get the swing of things.
Yep.
And then what else do we have? We have basically crap from there. And basically, I'm going to say it this way. We pretty much ended up with crap from there. That's pretty much where I think it pretty much fell into. We had guys that had specific niches.
Yep.
Whether it's Cager with the catches, whether it's Myarick with the blocking, and working as a fullback as well. But that's what it was, because it was makeshift for the rest of the room, especially when Bellinger was out for those few games. Oh my God. It was like,
Mhm.
Like, I don't even know who our starting tight end at that point was week to week. It seemed like it's like
Yeah, let's switch up.
we have to figure out somebody has to be able to play the position. Dan.
Combination of Cager
I
and
think they used
Yeah,
a bunch of Tanner Hudson.
yeah.
I think it was him and Cager. I think for
they
the most
did.
part.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hudson was who ended up, and so Hudson, I think didn't really embarrass himself, but he didn't give me any reason whatsoever to get excited about him for next year either.
No.
So he's a guy that I'm really hoping not to see next year. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think they really just went out and got him just to be a depth guy because they need some sort of guy behind Bellinger or even just anybody to be there.
Yeah, and we're going to get into in a little bit when we talk about potentials for next year of a guy that we had in camp, let slip in camp, that had a really big year for a certain team down in Houston. But yeah, I mean, we didn't have much in camp really. We had Lawrence Cager, obviously we picked up mid-season from the Jets, the converted wide receiver.
I didn't mind him.
No, I didn't mind him, but I minded the role he was in.
Yes.
He was too prominent for what his skill set is, I think.
I mean, obviously,
very much so.
The coaching staff.
Yeah,
that is true.
I feel like he needs to be a guy who's like the very last guy in the tight end room to practice squad kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely.
That's his role, and I'm okay with that role.
His only
that's
upside
where his role should be.
Yeah, his only upside I would say is maybe he has he's probably one of the more polished route runners, pure receiver, but he's a low risk. If you get something out of him, that's great. If not, it's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna have him next year. We've already re-signed him for next year.
Yeah.
But the other interesting part about him is again the fact that he's been converted from a wide receiver. So is he still learning the blocking? Is he still learning some of the ins and outs of the position?
100%.
And is there room for growth there? And that's why I'm okay with keeping this guy for the year or two to see what happens.
Yeah, he showed it.
More reliable Evan.
I mean, also don't be surprised. Yeah, I mean, don't be surprised when you see Bellinger, Cager, and Hudson or Myarick, the three of those tight ends set up with what looks like to be a run play, and Cager gets a 7-yard pass down the field because it's just a diversion tactic.
3 tight ends.
Yep.
I'd like that.
Yep, 100%.
The jumbo.
If we have a 3 tight end set, I'll be very happy because that means we have 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
It was kind of like who we have this whole year, so tight ends. So we have Mark chiming in again. A wide receiver 1 is going to help Bellinger a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, listen, a wide receiver 1 is going to help
100%.
everybody a lot. I still say I don't see that happening this year unless we draft somebody who turns into that role because there's not really a wide receiver out there that I think is going to be a wide receiver 1 available to us there. John S. Anderson Jr., they should all wear visors to prevent eye sockets getting bloodied. I like that. I'm picturing you with the British accent now, John. I'm not sure if you are British, but I'm picturing you with a British accent now. It will prevent they're getting all bloodied. It'll prevent face mask. All they really need to do is get Rain-X to endorse it so the visors don't fog up. Listen, listen,
you get little wipers on it too, or
yeah.
The NFL finds a way to do everything marketing-wise. Are you kidding me? If you listen to especially the radio broadcast, they find every single way. This is the official potato chip of the New York Giants. Like what? Who does that? Who goes like this is the potato chip of the New York Giants?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. John S. Anderson says, "I'm Scottish, laddie." Oh,
there you go. You're right.
There we go. I actually am as well. This is the nice thing about my lineage. I am such a mutt. I can basically use any accent and feel like it's okay because I'm part of that nationality. So it's fun. So my grandmother's maiden name was McEwen. So therefore, I think I'm about as Scottish as it gets right there. So I'm good to go. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Now when I'm picturing it in my head, John, we got the Scottish accent. You're doing like a Scrooge McDuck kind of thing. They're going.
I'm hearing more of like Groundskeeper Willie.
Ooh, Groundskeeper Willie.
We put him at linebacker.
We'll have to have John call into the show. We start taking phone calls because we actually are talking about doing that here soon on the show. So,
all right.
Mark, Cager, Myarick, and I'm thinking he's talking about we talked about the starting guys here because that's basically who our starters were at there along with Tanner Hudson as far as the tight end, the high basically. And of course, towards the end of the year, we had Nick Vannett. You know, didn't do horribly, but he's what you expect. He's your career backup tight end guy. Not going to embarrass, not going to wow you. You just go, okay, just do this and don't mess up.
Yeah, it's a guy that's ideally not
pretty much
next.
Yeah, you're actually
He's a third. He's a third string guy. You're not expecting much from him.
He's
Exactly.
a
And
third string, if not practice squad guy.
Yeah. And he's a guy I hope not to see next year. I'll put it that way as well. Because again, that means we failed. Because I'd like to have I'd like to have, I'd like to have, John is really up with this accent. I like it. Scottish American, no accent. My late mother's side. Who knows? A bit of everything.
I'm an American mutt myself, my friend.
Listen, we all are, I think, pretty much. That's the Ellis Island way, Mark chimes in with, we got too many tight ends outside of Bellinger. And we're 100% on that. We're going to get into some free agents here soon. We
a lot of
do have we do have one more tight end to talk about. We mentioned his name briefly, Myarick. Because good blocking tight end, another guy that I don't mind keeping towards the back end as a practice squad kind of guy because the team seems to like him. They brought him back the last 2 years, which just tells you somebody likes working with him. That's a good sign with two different regimes. Okay, let's bring the guy back.
You can survive a coaching change. You're a decent player.
Exactly. So, I'm cool with that. if he's on the field more than a couple of games, that we did something wrong.
Yeah.
To the ball down to.
Like I said before, like you bring him up for like a diversion kind of play. Is it a run play? Is it a slant play? Is it, what are they going to do? They're passing it here. Like, and you put him set him up in the tight end spot. Is he blocking? Is he going out to,
I could see him as like the third string guy this year, and then hopefully bringing in some guy via free agency or the draft to be that number 2.
Free agency?
I think I did.
That's where we're going next. We're talking free agent tight ends.
There's some guys out there.
We're talking free agent tight end. And I think the big one for me, everybody's looking for a good tight end. So the big one for me that I always mention on this show, we've talked about him a couple of times already, Mike Gesicki, the former Giant fan. I don't know if I'd want to call him still a Giant fan since he's technically a Dolphin here, but grew up a Giant fan, grew up in good old Jersey, and was totally misused by the Dolphins last year. I think we can actually get him cheaper than we would have been able to get him the last couple of years because, frankly, the Dolphins just did not use him right. That's what it boils down to. But, you never know because in the end, it just takes one other person to get the bidding up, and next thing you know, he's making $10 million a year again. You just never know. But to me, he's the perfect complement to Bellinger. He's a guy that, is that pure receiving tight end to a guy who's much more of a blocking tight end. It's a nice mix, I think, the two of them together. So, also, of course, we got Dalton Schultz out of the Cowboys. I think he's going to be making a lot more money than we're going to want to pay a tight end. Yeah.
Too rich for my taste.
We also have our old friend, Evan Ingram.
No.
It's funny because it's like a very diverse kind of thing. Like 40% of Giants fans are like no, 40% are like yes, 20% like whatever.
Yeah,
for the right price.
Category
myself. The same. He just got more volume. He's the same tight end.
His catching percentage is much higher than last year.
Oh, he learned to not drop the ball.
Yeah, he got away from Slade.
Not drop it.
Yeah, he got away from Darius Slade and remember how to
not drop it, but he's at least average.
Yeah,
I still don't want him.
I don't even want him on.
He was like one of the top 5 tight ends in catches, but I don't think he wants to come back. Let's be honest.
No.
Well, did he put on Twitter that he would come back?
I think that tweet was messing with us because Yeah, that was Bradbury, Pugh, and Ingram all in one day. We're like, oh, maybe the Giants. I think they were just messing around.
Yeah,
Giants fans were packing Ingram's bags when he was a free agent. Yeah. Like, here you go.
Oh, we booed him when he got hurt. So,
yeah.
A couple of the lesser names here. We got Austin Hooper at the tight. Vartanyan out of the Green Bay Packers. We got Hayden Hurst out of the Cincinnati Bengals. And the guy we cut in preseason, Jordan Akins, who we cut after being here for just 4 months when we had nobody as an apparent starting tight end. The guy went to the year. Not that I want to focus everything on stats, but at least these kind of stats. You did something. 33 catches, 425 yards, 3 touchdowns. This guy would have been an obvious 1B kind of tight end for us. And he would have been the obvious starter when Bellinger went down. That was a mistake on the Giants to cut this guy. You had 4 months with the guy. The guy's been a starting tight end for years in the league. I just don't get that move. Something must have happened behind the scenes that we just don't know. I think, at least.
Maybe he just didn't fit.
Yeah.
Or they just had zero faith in him.
Yeah.
Just it could have been a personality.
Also, I mean, there was a lot of players that the Giants want to keep, and there's with the new coaching staff and new regime that came in this year, like they just kind of cleaned house, kept the guys that liked, kept the guys that were contractual, like had to be here, and worked off that. Like there was a lot of guys that like Bradbury was one guy like a lot of Giants fans would have said they would love to see him back. Obviously, it was too costly for us to keep, but there's just other players out there that like Martinez. Like what a lot of Giant fans want Martinez to stay here, but this coaching staff said, "New team, let's start new."
Let's roll with the young guys.
Here's what I'm going to do real quick. Because I got to step out for just a brief second here. We're going to go kind of round table again. Start with Ian, go around to Brian, Greg, and then Rob. I want to hear from you guys. If you get to pick what tight end we get, give us your answer. And who do you think we're going to get free agent wise? And it can be off that list if you want, but who do you think we might be looking at getting? Or you could say also that, hey, I don't think we're going to get one. I think the money's there. That's fine as well.
Yeah. All right. There was a report he might get cut for cap issues. And if he gets cut, I would love him on the team as our 1A, 1B with Bellinger, and that's Hunter Henry.
Okay.
I do have a guy, if he doesn't get cut.
Patriots, right?
Personally, I'm a draft tight end guy. I don't want to sign another guy. I don't think there's a need. But if there is a guy, maybe we take a shot on someone like Ryan Griffin or Irv Smith. Because, Irv Smith keeps getting preseason hype in fantasy football nonstop. And maybe our coaches can unlock him. Who knows? But if I had to pick a guy that's available right now, I'd say maybe like a Ryan Griffin kind of guy, just a cheap guy that can come in and has experience starting.
Yeah, I agree. Free agency, I don't think is the way to go. And Drew said it. We really need like a receiving threat as a tight end. And I think it's going to be more towards the draft. And I got a couple guys I like. But free agency, there's really nothing really like Hunter Henry's not bad. I do like Hayden Hurst, South Carolina boy. But other than that, I think someone's going to overpay for Gesicki. So I don't think we're going to get him. So Hurst would be my guy in free agency if we want to go that route. But I really think it's going to be the draft.
Yeah, I agree with that I think it's going to be the draft, but I just don't see the Giants taking a swing at any of these like mid-level guys like the Hoopers or the Tanyans. I just don't see it. I think there's other needs. But a guy who I was just looking at before, what do you guys think about like OJ Howard, like giving him another shot as a receiving tight end? A guy who he played okay at the beginning of the season for the Texans, but like if you could sign him for cheap, but you also kind of start to go into that, is he like a cager type of guy at this point? Like, are they the same player? So, but yeah, I kind of agree with Brian. I think it's going to be more draft, but I mean, you take a look at those middle guys, but it's tough. It's a tough position because there's such a big skew between the top guys and kind of the middle to the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah, when it comes to tight ends, if you're not like a top 5, top 8, you're kind of interchangeable. And I don't want to sound like rude about it, but that's almost what it is. Like if you're not,
you sound very rude, sir.
No, you're right. You're right.
But listen, like if you can afford Travis Kelce, you're going to pay for Travis Kelce, right? Because the guy's the best in the league.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he does. But at the same time, are you going to pay Dalton Schultz half the money that you're going to pay Kelce? No, it doesn't make sense.
No.
So the OJ Howard thing, there's so much hype around that name for so long that I just I don't see it anymore. And fairly on me because I had him in fantasy football after all the hype as well. And he tanked my season. Only him.
Yeah,
But,
he ended up 145 yards on the year with the Texans this year.
Yeah,
That's Travis.
There's not a whole lot there.
100%.
Yeah.
That could be a Travis Kelce first half.
True.
So, Drew, you missed the consistency here. Like, we all are agreeing that we should go draft. But if I had to choose off a couple of these guys here, I would like Ezeki, but I think he's going to get overpaid. Giants are going to pay that money. I would love to steal Schultz just because it's from our division. He's also going to get overpaid somewhere.
Yeah.
So if anyone on this list is Robert Tannen Jr. from Green Bay. I did like the way he played over there. I think he was pretty good. I don't think he was utilized properly over there just because you have Aaron Rodgers who's going to throw the ball.
Are you saying Aaron Rodgers is an issue?
Was this Tanya's first year off the ACL?
Was that?
Was this the first full year he had off that ACL injury?
Yeah.
Tanyan?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think even this year he was hurt a lot.
Take that step back next year. I mean, he could be a candidate to look at, but a guy like him with that ACL injury, it concerns me because he was never really an athletic freak. So he loses that step and he's done.
But if
sorry,
if
guys,
you don't overpay for the guy, you can see what you got in him.
Oh yeah.
Then that's something I'm interested into looking into.
Absolutely.
And you talk about the ACL. Giants had 6 ACL injuries this past year. So like
led the league.
He'll just be joining the team.
Crazy.
They could bond.
It's destiny.
That damn turf monster.
We lead the league again in ACL injuries this year. 2 years in a row. We led the league, guys. We led the league. League leaders.
Did it.
League leaders. Oh yes. Bring it on 101 sports events here, okay? Where's our trophy, God damn it?
Giant snapped ACL.
Now, here's my thing I'm looking at, guys. So I personally, and I could very well be wrong, we're going to see where the dust settles because this is that rumor time period where you don't know what to believe and half of it's BS and half of it is half BS. And then, it's like there's no actual truths out there because you're not going to give a legit story to anybody right now saying, oh, I want $45 million. Oh, I want this, or I'm going here. No one releases this stuff legitimately. These guys are grasping at straws. So here's one thing I look at, and I'll segue into the tight end part of it a minute ago, so I promise my rant's about to go somewhere. So Saquon Barkley, supposedly we offered him $12.5 million a year, something like that, during the bye week. Joe Shane does not want to give him the franchise tag, doesn't want to stick, him with a $10 million cap number this year, either way.
Yeah.
So that tells you that when they offered him $12.5 million a year, the first year was less than $10 million.
Yep.
One can assume those things based on those points being together. He offered him $12.5 million per year, where he probably had a balloon year at the end. They were going to cut him. Let's call it what it is.
Most likely.
And that's kind of a slap in the face offer from his standpoint, from Barkley's standpoint. I can see where I would take offense with that if I was him. I think what's going on is, I mentioned before, I think Joe Shane is trying to make it appear like we try to keep him, but the Giants do not want any part of actually keeping him in the end. They don't want to say it publicly because of the backlash. They don't want to say it publicly because it's kind of a disrespect publicly to Barkley as well, who's meant a lot for the franchise the last couple of years. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint of you lose Barkley, who's the top weapon on offense you got there besides Jones. You have no number one wide receiver coming out really into the free agency. You have a couple of trade options in Higgins and Hopkins that I don't see happening. Your spot that you have that you can go get a weapon in free agency is tight end. And for that reason alone, I think the Giants will get a tight end in free agency. And I don't mean the big name, Dalton Schultz. They're not getting him. And this is where I get into Mike Gesicki, who I think is the guy that we're going to take a big look at. And I think they will sign a guy like him, if not him, just to give Jones a weapon outside of the draft. More of a guaranteed kind of weapon. Because with the draft, you never know. You can go get the best wide receiver available at pick 25. The guy could be an absolute bum. You have no clue what you're getting. You need one guy into this offense that is a consistent pass catcher that you can count on and has a track record. And for that reason, I think they're going to go out and get a guy like Mike Gesicki that I do think wants to play as the Giants because he's made multiple mentions on social media about the Giants already as well. So, like I said, I could be just myself now shooting the hip and BS people like everybody else out there in Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff there. But like I said, I think it's something we're going to see. And I think he'll take a small deal as like a 1-year kind of prove it deal to showcase himself, get back that real contract next year because the Dolphins, like I said, just did not use him correctly at all. So let's get back to, we've got a couple of comments here as well on the free agent talk here. So a couple of years ago, I was hoping to get Njoku. Thought he'd be perfect for Jones. That's at a Mark there. And Mark, I got to be honest, I'm not a Njoku fan, really. I never really have been. I feel like he's been like potential his whole career, basically. And it's kind of like, oh, this guy could be a great tight end. This guy could be a great tight end. But even in both college and in the pros, I feel like there's been a consistency issue. Yeah, exactly that. A consistency issue. So, 600 yards this year, though. So he had a great year.
Yeah, he showed
as far as tight end goes. But I feel like he got paid before he actually showed he was a good tight end. It was weird. It's almost like how we're paying a quarterback potentially before he shows he's a great quarterback. You don't really see that very often in the NFL.
Boo that man.
Well, listen. I know you're the Jones guy. You're the Jones guy, Rob. Go ahead. He's going to make the Pro Bowl this year, right?
Yeah.
He's going to win MVP.
Just like you said last year.
I think just like all of us on our pod, we're big Jones guys.
Listen, I like Jones. I don't hate him. He's a Giant. I root for every single Giant. But I think he's an average quarterback as of right now with still some potential to prove people wrong and be above average. But I don't think he'll ever be that elite top 5 quarterback.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's fair.
I'm not the hater. I'm not the lover. I'm kind of the middle.
Yeah, listen, and him and I don't disagree on that. It's just that there's a lot of people saying that he should have went, last year. And I was like, you can't do that to this guy. Like, there's a reason why he went so early in the draft as he did. Yeah. And he went through
because we were desperate for a quarterback.
I mean, you're not wrong. But you didn't have to rush to get him where you got him.
Because Justin Herbert went back to school for a year.
Oh, he should have been ours.
He should have been ours. I know.
Damn it, Herbie.
So we got Dylan Campbell here with would you welcome Evan Ingram back? We kind of answered that one already. I don't think we want him back, and I don't think he wants to be back either, to be honest with you.
Nope.
He'd be an interesting guy, but I really think it's going to cause too much of an issue overall. I think he's a better player than he was with us. He got un-Jason Garretted while he was down there in Jacksonville, looks like. We got Mark also chiming in. We got Mark also chiming in with if Rodgers leaves Green Bay, I can see getting Tanyan if Green Bay wants to rebuild. Listen, I don't think Green Bay is going to rebuild because they've struck fire twice in back-to-back quarterbacks. They have a former first-round pick sitting there waiting in the wings that they're going to have to give the shot to if Rodgers leaves. So I think they're going to keep as many weapons as they possibly can, especially because their top wide receiver is a free agent, keep in mind. So
and I think
John S. Anderson Jr. here. Yes.
I mean, what's your cap
Jersey,
like?
He'd probably take a pay cut to fulfill a dream to be a New York Giant. Listen, from your mouth to God's ears, John. Oh, seriously.
I'm pretty sure he's already. I'm pretty sure he's already come out and say that too. Like he would
listen.
Not so much a pay cut, but he would negotiate differently with the Giants than he would elsewhere.
Listen, if he said that, I'm sure his agent probably called immediately, said, delete that goddamn tweet right now, you idiot.
Yeah.
You don't announce those kind of things.
Don't say that.
You don't say
that.
If
for a reasonable price, then get Gesicki.
Yes.
And
so I'm saying, if you can get him for like a $5 to $7 million kind of deal at that point for 1 year to see what he's got left, and that's 100%. What I think it's going to be. I really do. I think he's going to want to bet against himself for a year. Mark chimes back in with Barkley. Love him, but he's damaged goods, and he's a running back in year 6, which is the time to decline. I'm with you, Mark. That's why the only way I want to keep him is one of two ways: either a franchise tag or a 3-year deal that we can get clean out of after year 2 if we have to. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, because you got to remember, he's only 25, right?
Yes,
Man,
exactly.
he's only 25, so
26.
Okay, so
I'm pretty sure,
a little bit left.
26 is here to match his number.
You also got to remember
that's
too,
true.
Shane and Dave are both from Buffalo, and you know how Buffalo values running backs.
Oh, yes.
So
the committee.
Anybody.
Yeah,
exactly. And Mark says he's already lost a step. And I would say this: I've heard a lot of Giants fans talking about Barkley losing a step. I don't think he's lost a step at all. I think it was a shoulder. I think it was a shoulder injury issue he was having. Plus, they went to more of a passing offense.
Yeah, and also if you look obviously Barkley was the number 1 offensive player that we had in the first third of this year. Hurts his shoulder, loses a step, didn't really lose a step, but then they open up their offense, throwing it down the field. So now that he's getting healthier, you didn't need to run him 30 times like he did against the Texans. You could run him 20 times, and he gets you almost damn near the same amount of yards and 2/3 of those runs. That's what you want out of your running back. You don't want him running 30 times. That's 30 times he's getting hit.
Yep.
Compared to 20 times. So that's what you want.
Yeah.
He didn't lose a step per se. It
was
a little injury that was lingering on when he was hurt.
Well,
so
it was a shoulder. That's not a little injury when you're a running back. I mean, not everybody's Emmitt Smith
not his
out there with a broken
hamstring.
shoulder. Well, listen, don't even bring up your boy Tony.
I
know where you're going with this. Well,
with Barkley too, like you said, we open up the offense, and he doesn't need. I don't think he even needs 20 carries. Give him 13 to 15 carries and 5-6 catches. Get him to 20 touches.
Which also makes you say, do you want to pay a running back that you're going to give like 15 touches to anyway, that kind of money, when there's so many other positions there, you know?
Well, if he's catching the ball, he'll still get those 20 touches. It's just in a more spread system.
Also, encouraging thing, I just think he became more of a runner, like inside out than outside in for the first time.
Yep.
Since just really ever. So that's why I think it was his best year. So it's so hard because he's so liked, and like it's gonna be a tough one to move on from. But yeah, I think the tag is the way to go.
Yeah, John S. Anderson Jr., I'd pay running back like Barkley a flat 1 or 2 year contract, all guaranteed. If they don't want it, move on to get someone else in draft or another free agent who will take it. That is also a good running back. And I'm with you. You don't go long term, that's for sure. Mark comes in with he got caught from behind this year a few times. He never was caught from behind in his rookie and sophomore year. Maybe I'm wrong, but looked like it. And I think a lot of that was the fact that when you're talking about, we alluded to the fact a second ago, he's an inside runner this year. When you're an inside runner, you're going to take a first contact and bounce off that contact and try to keep going at that point. Yep. When you have a shoulder injury, that really is difficult to do, and I think that's really what that problem was there. John S. Anderson, yes, he did get caught, which never happened before. And like I said, I think that's the shoulder injury, but we'll take a look there.
Also, and like I said, it's also not fair when you're sweeping out and you're running out to the sideline. You get hit from the side. That's what's to be expected when you're running side to side. Yeah. But when you go north to south, like.
Well, I don't think they were commenting on the trajectory of where they were getting him as much as the placement is where they were getting him.
And also, how many running backs in the league are the same speed they were their rookie year in their 5th year?
No, yeah.
I mean, that's every running back. Just because he's not,
and that's why you don't pay them
anymore. It doesn't mean that he's still not one of the fastest guys in the league.
He's still one of the fastest guys in the league, and he's also just as strong, if not stronger, than he was when he came in as a freshman. So there's no doubt about that. Like, he could still take a hit and keep running. It's just the fact, can he stay healthy through the year after getting those hits?
Ian and I were watching the first game, and we saw his first couple runs, and we're like, he's back.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back.
Oh, yeah.
He's healthy, and he looks quick, and his cuts were sharp.
He would benefit from a legit number 2 running back. He would benefit greatly.
And I'll tell you, last year I was so upset that we didn't get the chance to draft Dameon Pierce because I thought he was going to be the perfect 1-2 combo with him. And especially how he panned out for the Texans, I'm like livid right now because honestly, if that had happened, we wouldn't be talking about signing Barkley. Like, okay, it's time for the Pierce show.
Yep.
We'd already have the running back ready to go. But that would have been an amazing 1-2 combo there. But, talking about the draft here, let's get back to our tight end talk here because we do still have to talk about the draft eligible tight ends here. And I'm going to give you guys a rundown on a couple of guys. And again, we'll do a little roundtable again to hear what you guys think on them here overall. So I kind of did the just the top overall guys, the guys that kind of landed that first like top 75 or so, the guys that are first couple round guys. But if you guys also have a late round pick guide, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts there on some sneaky guys there. We're always interested in hearing the 5, 6, 7 kind of round guys that nobody probably has pretty much ever heard of and won't hear of until draft night. But every so often you get those great guys coming out of those later picks like that. So obviously Dalton Kincaid out of Utah is considered top 1. PFF ranking has him at 25. Good receiver, may have some blocking issues. Really a perfect complement to Bellinger, but I don't think there's a chance in hell he's going to be there when we go do our pick there.
No.
Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, the hunchback himself there, number 28 on the big board, and it's like kind of a 50-50 shot, I think, whether he's going to be available to us.
Yeah.
And it's more because of positional value than where he actually is talent-wise, if he is. But he's kind of considered the boom or bust guy. Decent blocker, but there's questions whether he can separate at the next level because of just looking at the college tape and the little bit of separation he's shown there. It's enough to get him through at Notre Dame, but it's going to be enough in the NFL. Yeah. Luke Musgrave out of Oregon State, number 33 on PFF's board. Well-rounded, but considered very raw, so definitely needs some time. Might be a little bit of a project.
So I actually, in our most recent pod, I actually used him as one of our targets in that round. And I thought he was fantastic. And I want a tight end second round or later. I'm not going tight end in the first round. I don't want Michael Mayer or...
Scary thing is look at the success rate of first round tight ends. Besides Kyle Pitts, it's been like the who's not succeeding list basically at that point. It's like that's the one position the NFL has not figured out how to draft. The guys that are the really good players are out of the third round, fourth round. Yep. Did anybody hear about George Kittle coming into the draft a couple of years ago? Because I know I sure as hell didn't.
Nope.
Even Kelsey, we talked about him being the king of tight ends. He wasn't this can't-miss prospect. It wasn't like when the Chiefs got, Tony Gonzalez back in the day, and everybody knew he'd be a first-round pick. Yeah. This is it's a really weird position. We got Sam Laporta out of Iowa. Another guy is well-rounded but very raw. Darnell Washington out of Georgia, ranked number 72. Huge. Very good blocker, big guy. Here's the problem I have with him. This guy is like kind of like the O.J. Howard talk we had before there. A guy we said, very big, has all the potential in the world, but he's had this potential and hasn't showed it since he left high school. If you can't show me success in college, then do I really want to take a shot at you in the NFL? Because the only way I do that is if I think coaching is wrong. Does anyone here in the panel think Georgia has a coaching issue? Considering what they've been doing, I think it's a safe bet that he's receiving pretty much the best coaching you possibly can in college football. I don't think there's really much of a concern there. So our screen has changed up a little bit here, and Brian stepped out for a second. So Ian, we'll go to you, then Greg, then Rob. We'll let Brian go last. Please get a second to kind of get back here and hear your guys' thoughts on these NFL draft tight ends here.
So the only guy out of that group that I have any interest in is Sam Laporta. He's an Iowa tight end. Iowa is just known for those consistent NFL caliber tight ends. I've watched some game tape of him. The guy's an animal. I really think he's going to be a stud. And not sitting behind, but being the 1B to Bellinger, I think would help his development immensely. I do have a couple guys. Not a couple guys, but I have one guy that was recommended to me for later in the draft, and that's Brenton Strange from Penn State. Didn't play a ton, so he doesn't have the volume stats, but he's a big yak tight end. He's a potential receiving threat. He's 6'4", 255. They're looking at him maybe the 5th round, so I think that would be another great guy to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got two guys that I'm really looking at. One that I included in our podcast, and then another guy that I was doing some research on. So Tucker Kraft at the South Dakota State. I would say he's very similar to Bellinger, 6'5", 255, more of like a receiver.
Are you
There you
peeking
go.
at the comments?
Mark,
There's
Mark's on the same page. But yeah, I think he's going to be. I think he's going to get taken a little bit too early. I think he's going to be. Someone's going to go up and go for the reach for him, and I don't know if I would take him in the second round. But another guy I think you guys should check out is this guy. I think I'm saying his name right. Brevin Spanford out of Minnesota. He's a redshirt senior, 6'7", 270, and he said he's basically one of the higher graded guys, but he's more of a blocker. They said he's literally a mobile left tackle. So if you want a guy who's going to be a blocker and then Bellinger be the receiver, you might have something there. You guys got to watch his highlights. Pretty wild. He's mowing people down. So those are my two guys.
All righty, Rob, and then Brian.
All right, yeah. So I don't have too many tight ends over here. Actually, I'm going to piggyback off of Drew with Michael Meyer from Notre Dame. When he's on, he's on. I mean, he's got some things he's got to work on. But listen, you said boom or bust, right? So we got one of the best offensive-minded coaches out there as our head coach. We have a fantastic offensive coordinator.
Can we let that sit in for a second? I'm sorry. Can we just let that sit in? It still feels so good to hear as a Giant fan.
Mm-hmm.
Could you repeat that for the people in the back?
Everyone back there, let me make this clear here. We have one of the best offensive coaches out there. One of the best offensive coordinators out there. Who else do you want to trust with a boomer bust player coming out of college? When he's hot, he's damn hot. You want a team like this. Yep. You want the hot tight end to go in with this great coaching staff.
So
and listen, like
hot like Hans.
And he doesn't have to have the responsibility to be the number one. He could come in there and learn and become the boom and not the bust. That's my 2 cents.
And I gotta say also, we got corrected by John S. Anderson Jr. here. Myers, not Voorhees. We used the wrong theme here. Listen, Voorhees is a Jersey boy. That's what it boils down to. We can't help but use the Jersey boy stuff here. Okay, I'm trying to remember what the Halloween was. I was never really that much into Halloween. I used to love all the horror stuff as a kid, especially Nightmare on Elm Street was my favorite one always.
I was about to say Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas movie.
No, listen, I do love Nightmare Before Christmas as well, but it was so scary when he was like, they call him Santa Claus. But yeah, no, I'm drawing a blank on the Halloween thing. We'll probably bring it up in another episode whenever we start talking about guys who might draft again. But go for it, Brian.
So my guy that I like so far is Luke Musgrave, and I know you touched on him a little bit. He's raw, but he only has 15 starts in college. But from his starts, he's a great route runner. He can catch. He's a decent blocker. Super athletic. He's going to get those yak yards. Has a little bit of drop issues, but that's the kind of tight end that the Giants are looking for. You want that threat that can receive. And I think if they miss on some sort of receiver in the first round, I think this guy's a perfect fit in the second round if you don't like any receivers there. He's your guy there in the second round, I think. And then another guy late in the draft, it looks like maybe round 6 or 7, Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion. Huge. He's 6'8", 245. Good hands, route running. Does need to work on blocking. He's a little high in his blocks, so I think you can polish that up a little bit. And he's a former 5-star recruit. Originally enrolled over at Penn State, and then ended up transferring to Old Dominion. And he was hurt last season, but apparently in 2021 he had a great season. I think it's a good risk late in the draft. See what happens. just based on his size alone. It's a good red zone threat, which the Giants need. So,
what was the poundage again on him? You said
6'8", 245.
245.
So
Yeah.
Dylan Campbell also comes in with a size thing too, as well, saying I'd say Darnell Washington personally 6'8", 270. Held back at UGA because of Bowers, but would be a huge... Oh, there we go. There we go. We got the Halloween theme song going. There you go, John.
I had to stop real fast.
So-
I don't want trademarks. Right? Here we go.
Yeah. Let's not get kicked off of YouTube here, people. So here's the interesting part about that is that sounds like a lot of poundage. It does. It sounds like a lot of poundage. But again, I talked about it before. Not to keep bragging on my size here, because trust me, it was nice when I was young. But now that I'm 40, I wish I was more like 6 foot even. Because every single joint basically hurts in the morning. It's a lot of fun. I'm basically like I play corner for the Cowboys and Dolphins. I'm just saying. I'm 265. I'm 265. You guys can see. Am I in any way, shape, or form looking big and jacked? I'm not. No. 265 at 6'7".
Listen,
so when you're talking this pound, I'm just saying
on certain frames is a little different.
I'm just saying it sounds really impressive until you consider the height portion of it for these guys, because these are two really tall guys we're talking about as well. So 280 on a 6'2" guy, like you're probably playing guard. Know, actually, I guess that's center. That's not even guard anymore. That's center now at this point.
Right. That sounds like you in college.
Yeah.
But like I said, just something to think about there, because those numbers sound pretty big, but at the same point, it sounds, like I said, it's not as big as it sounds. It's perfect size, I think, for their height actually to be a tight end, because if they were 320, they'd be a tackle and they wouldn't be able to move like you needed them to move at the tight end position there. So, interesting moves there, though, I think, as possibilities. And personally, if I have the call, which luckily I don't, because that's just stress I don't want. Like, if I could take Joe Shane's paycheck, I'm all down for it. Don't get me wrong. But it's a very stressful job I think he has this year. And I think the big thing is, for me at least, is if we can get a good pass-catching tight end as a number 2, and then go get a guy who is a developmental in the mid-rounds kind of tight end, I think that's the perfect solution for me, because we already have a number 1. But I don't mind having a 1A and a 1B. It works great for a lot of teams, especially when we're missing that number 1 overall wide receiver. If you can put 2 tight ends consistently out that both the defenses have to focus, not necessarily focus, I shouldn't even say that, but at least respect. It changes things for the guys from the outside. It opens things up for your slot receivers. Because Wan'Dale, keep in mind, if we don't get a good receiver in this draft, Wan'Dale may be our number 1 receiver.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with that. He showed a lot of promise during that
something
second
wrong with
half
that when
of
you
his
had a guy
healthy.
who showed promise in one game.
Yeah,
And I like
or
Wan'Dale.
Hodgins.
You know I
The
like
second-
Wan'Dale.
But it's
Or
not
Hodgins.
just the one game. He leading up to the Lions games before that. What, he had 4 catches for 80 yards? Like, I'll take that.
I'm just saying, I'm not sold on him yet. I haven't seen enough sample. Listen, like, you got all
As a
excited about
fantasy
Tony last
owner-
year. He did 150 yards against the Cowboys or whatever. Like, 1 or 2 games
Listen,
does
I'm just
not
saying, as
excite
a
me. I need
fantasy owner
consistency.
of Wan'Dale Robinson this year, I
you would
tracked
fantasy
him
again.
pretty
No bias.
closely.
One,
No
Yeah.
bias.
Wan'Dale had
He sat on my bench most of the year. Except on that Lions game, because I actually put him in because of bye weeks. But that's
You're probably very happy
Wan'Dale
with
had
that.
some flashes, and I think there was enough in those flashes for me to think, okay, there's something there.
I don't disagree that something is there. I just don't know fully what is there, and especially
It's
for a
just-
guy coming off an ACL injury.
And,
I don't
and
wanna
it also
counter him
depends, because
too
that
much.
was what, week 8?
So,
Week
Right around the
7?
middle of the year. Right around the
Yeah.
middle of the year.
So
the exact
you
week.
got to
He'll be
figure
back. Yeah.
he'll be back, but is he going to be 100% going into week 1 coming off the ACL, or is he going to come back and play like he had?
Week 10. I'm
Yeah, it's
doing
probably
ahead
a
the
little
schedule.
touch
I
and
think it's
go.
week 10.
Yeah.
I
Like-
think you also don't want a 5'9" slot guy as your number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
That's
if
the
he's
problem
really
with
good, sure, but I just don't see him putting up wide receiver 1 numbers, 1,000
No, and-
yards, 8 touchdowns. It's not going to happen.
And that's why I'm saying I think it's a very important position that I don't think enough fans are talking about as a tight end this offseason, because we don't have the number one receiver. There is not one available in free agency. The bigger names will probably be off the board in the first round by the time we get a chance to pick, unless we trade up. And the ones that may be there are more likely slot receivers than anything else, which is the one position we have taken care of at the wide receiver position. We got
a lot of depth.
We got more slots than a bunny ranch in Vegas. Like, it's bad. Like, you know, like I said slots, guys, for the record. Slots. I was talking about I was talking about slot machines. I don't know what you guys are talking about there. But yeah. So John S. Anderson Jr. real quick asking, and it's a good time to do that prompt here. Guys, before I forget, what days and times you want again so I can set up reminders. So we're going to be on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. If we do change the schedule, we'll give you guys a heads up, because we'd like to do it a little quicker, a little earlier at that point. But we got work, and that's the problem. Damn those bills, pesky bills having to get paid. So
it's a shame,
yeah,
right?
Anybody have any final thoughts they want to give here in the tight end position before we get going here for the evening? But what I'm going to suggest as well, since we do have 5 of us there, we're going to go old school elementary school here. We'll do a little hand raising if you want to talk, so we're not talking over each other. Ian, you were first.
All right. So, Drew, you said you wanted to sign a guy and then draft a developmental guy, right? That's your goal.
Yes.
So I think that your plan of Gesicki as our 1B for a year on a cheap deal is perfect. And then I mentioned
what I'm hearing is I'm perfect, right?
Well,
in your own head.
So then the guy I mentioned, Brenton Strange, that would be the perfect guy to take in like the 5th round as a developmental guy. I've watched a couple videos of him. He looks solid. He looks like he could be a future offensive threat. So take a look at him. That could be an option. The guy I want is Sam Laporta, and I have been gung-ho on him in the 3rd or later. If we take him in the 2nd, I think it's a reach. And that's it. I don't think we need much improvement at tight end, but I think we all agree we do need that 1B.
Yeah, we need one more tight end. Something to add to the offense. They need another weapon. Everyone knows the Giants need wide receivers, but you can't fill everyone in there. If you can get someone at tight end, that's just another way to get creative with the offense as well. Not just rely on those wide receivers. You mix in those tight ends, get those mismatches with those linebackers or safeties, and really open it up and help DJ out. So I do like the Gesicki if you can get him cheap. Otherwise, I think draft might be the best way to do it.
Yeah,
and apparently John S. Anderson Jr. has a plan for us there. He seems to be well versed. He had a pretty tight end yesterday.
There you go.
Hey,
It has been a fun episode of jokes about tight ends.
Yes.
We don't joke around about tight ends. We take them very seriously around here, Ian.
Oh, yes. But
all right. Anybody else with some more final thoughts here?
So my big thing going into the tight end spot is
going into the tight end spot. You say?
Hey.
Did I just say that? Hey. Is it Saturday night or is it Monday?
Is there a tight end from Brown University?
Yeah. So last year was the first year of our rebuild year. We had a hell of a season. We did fantastic for our rebuilds. That being said, there's a lot of cap space opening up, but there's also a lot of cap space that needs to be spent. That all, like who's going to resign, is going to trickle down on how we're going to consider our tight end spot. So we need a quarterback. We're all pretty much most of the Giants fans understand DJ's coming back. There's no doubt in a lot of the fans' minds he's coming back. We need a running back. Do we pay Barkley? don't we, Bay Barkley? Keep that in mind. We also need a receiving core. We're looking to spend on who we can spend on. Do we go out? Do we get a T. Higgins? Probably not. But if we do, it takes away from the cap space. Going there, how are you going to put in a tight end? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well,
I had to put this up as Mark puts up here. Much rather be a tight end than a wide receiver.
You're right, because you get a really good tight end a lot cheaper than you get a wide receiver. Like, you're going to spend like Zeki, right? If you get him for $8 million, it's way better than T. Higgins for $18 million.
$18 million is low for T. Higgins, by the way.
Yeah.
What was he? You said like 25 when we filmed before. Like, that's
I'm telling you right now, whoever gets T. Higgins in a trade is going to probably break the wide receiver market record. I'm telling you this right now.
Listen, he's good. I don't think he's $20 million good.
I don't disagree, and that's why I'm not saying to get him.
Yeah.
So it's
I was just throwing his name out there.
It's just what the market demands.
Yeah.
Rob,
throwing his name out there as an example.
Yeah, Rob, I think you make a good point, though. Like, I think more than in recent years before, and maybe because I know we're still in rebuild mode, but we at least had a successful season. Like, our draft fully comes down to, like, what happens in free agency more than any year I can remember. Like, what we do in free agency just completely, for the first time in a long time, dictates, like, are we going to get a tight end? Are we going to get a running back? In an extreme case, are we going to have to get a QB? It's just going to be wild. It's going to be fun
Safety,
to watch.
linebacker.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, like, there's a lot of niches that we got to fill.
Hold on. You can't talk tight ends with your hands up like this. I'm sorry. I can't take you seriously.
I did that purposely. Sorry, I got excited. But there's a lot of... I was going to say spots to fill, but I guess I
oh, so much innuendo
to get into. So don't be upset if we don't sign a free agent tight end. We might have to draft one.
Yeah, I prefer the draft.
I'm not going to be upset, and I give this advice to people always, every single offseason. Don't be upset at all until the offseason is done. And even then, say, okay, this is a need we have, and if the need's not filled by week 1, then you get upset, because there's also always guys that get dropped during training camp and all that kind of stuff. I was going to say, we talked about Jordan Akins before. He got dropped by us, and Houston picked him up and got themselves a starting tight end. We did the same thing when we got Fabian Moreau as our cornerback too during the year. We obviously got Isaiah Hodgins during the year. It happens all the time. Don't get upset. Get upset over wins and losses. Don't get upset over 1 or 2 moves. That's all that matters in the end. It's all about the wins and losses. And Rob knows my theory on this as well, and I always give this, is that it's also, I don't get worried when we lose to a good team. I only get worried when we lose to a bad team or we get blown out by a good team. That's all that matters to me in the end, because if you stick to that kind of consistency, you're going to win a whole hell of a lot more games than you lose.
True.
Absolutely.
100%.
So we do got a couple of other comments here real quick before we wrap things up here. Mark coming in saying, I can see getting a tight end round 4 or later. And you know what? Listen, you might, depending on what happens in free agency, again, we get back to that part there. You might even see us pick up one early and one later on if they really feel that's a need position. If we go get let's say we go re-sign Moreau, we get a linebacker, because there's like 10,000 free agent linebackers that are good this upcoming free agency period here. We maybe go ahead and fill some of the positions that way. And tight end still a need? Yeah, they're going to fill that position. Trust me, 100%. John S. Anderson Jr., focus on blocking. Players will get open if DJ has great blocking. O-line and great blocking tight end who can get open too. And yeah, I mean, we saw what happened this year. The best tight end he's probably had since he got into the NFL. And I think it definitely helped him, especially against some of the teams that aren't as good as a pass rush, Mark chimes in also with, it's a need, but not the biggest need. And
agreed.
That's definitely the truth there. But the biggest need is a weapon in general, regardless of where we get it from.
Yes.
On offense, at least. And on defense, it's linebacker.
That's every year.
Yeah. Ever since Antonio Pierce left.
Yeah, basically, we got that 1 year stopgap with Blake Martinez before you realized that Pokemon cards were a thing again, and
Gotta catch
we
them
had
all.
half season of John Beeson.
I say John Beeson. I was about to say with half a season or so before he got injured,
Yeah.
he got like he was like he had a cup of tea with us basically. I'm not sure like those injuries just kept one after another catching up with us there. But yeah, that's been a position of need forever, and I blame Jerry Reese for that because how many times did he want a guy and he was dumb enough basically to let everybody and their mother know we wanted him.
Yep.
And next thing you know, somebody drafted ahead of us. Who would have thought? Roquan Smith.
Wow. Would you look at that?
Remember?
Yep. He doesn't get the flack
yeah.
that he should as a failure of a GM.
Listen,
Greg, you remember that.
He
You
rode
and
the
I were
coattails
high
of
on
Ernie
Roquan.
Accorsi.
Yeah.
He rode the coattails of Ernie Accorsi. I've been saying that forever.
Yep. Hit a couple flashy picks that helped in 2011, but other than that, I think he set us back at least 5 years.
Mark, with haven't drafted a first round linebacker since Carl Banks.
A long time.
Yeah, I mean it's been a long time.
Crazy.
So this still could be the year potentially in who drops because it's that big of a need for us, depending what happens in free agency and who drops. So we'll see. So real quick before we get going, guys, one of you guys you get to pick who gets to be an ambassador here. Do me a favor, let everybody know where they can find all your work, what medium you guys are on, your social media handles, all that kind of fun stuff, so they can keep track of you guys and what you guys are doing here.
We're still trying to get on Apple. We don't know what the holdup is there, but Spotify, we are on Spotify. That's where we get half of our listeners, and that number's only been growing. It is Big Blue Unfiltered. You can find us on Twitter at Big Blue U Pod, and we're on Facebook, Big Blue Unfiltered. We have 3 episodes out. 4th should be coming in the next week or so. We tend to record on weekends and release either Sunday or Monday. We don't have a nailed down schedule yet. We will once the season starts. We'll do 2 a week. But for now, any support that anybody would love to give us, we'll absolutely and gladly take it.
Yeah, and I think you'll get that because you guys obviously know your stuff. I think it's pretty obvious. Anybody who's been, listening in. Oh my God, Mark again. This guy's on fire today. Tight ends and ambassadors. Oh my God.
I'm sure Mark loves a good D lineman with some penetration.
Oh yes, he does. Especially when they can penetrate past the tight end.
Oh yeah.
You got a shot.
But Ian, Brian, Greg, I want to thank you guys truly for coming on today and giving some good information there on the tight ends here. Not just our tight ends, but the ones that are coming out here in the draft, the ones coming out of free agency. Been a pleasure talking to you guys. Also, got to take a second, obviously, to go ahead. Oh my God, Mark is. I'm telling you, this guy is like.
On fire!
On fire! Illegal use of the hands on the tight end. Oh my God!
Watching the Harvey Weinstein trial.
Oh my God! But I do want to take a moment, obviously, to thank everybody who's been listening in to us here live on Facebook, TikTok. Sorry, I keep on saying TikTok. I wish we can get on TikTok live. They won't work with StreamYard. TikTok, get your stuff together. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're also, of course, available after the fact if you guys don't have the chance to watch live. If you prefer watching video, we're on there as well. It does save. I always recommend YouTube as the venue for that because of the fact that we can cut the 5-minute intro out that we use to share to all the lovely groups out there. If you prefer an audio version, we are also available on pretty much every podcast platform that's basically matters. And if your podcast platform doesn't have us, they don't matter. You're using the wrong one. Switch up immediately.
That's right.
And if you use multiple of them, subscribe on all of them. We won't be upset about it at all. That's
that
for
like
sure.
button.
So
Come on.
hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit that lovely little bell there. Ring my bell. And then, like I said, that way you guys get updated on everything there. Because if you're like me, you probably watch at home sometimes. You probably listen on the road sometimes. You want both venues, and we got them all. So, now before we get going here, Ian, Brian, Greg, we got to give you
all the podcasts. Pokemon cards.
Yeah. So before we get going, we'll give you guys a heads up on what we always end the episode with. We like to do this here. It's a little fun here because we're just big kids at heart, and for some reason, football just makes us that way. We always end up the episode here with a "Go Giants" here. So that's always our
Go
fun
G-Men.
ending thing. Go G-Men, yes. It's our ending, and I got it
Yeah.
wrong. That just tells you it's
Yeah.
getting late in the evening, right? So you messed it up. I was going to have them say the wrong thing, Rob.
Fool you.
I can't believe you fell for that. It's the oldest one in the book. So on the count of 3, gentlemen. 1, 2, 3. Go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?